Yo, 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 welcome back to another episode of the THFC Show. It's Tapping Tobes here, and I'm here with my faithful co-host as per Fuad Kadani. What are you saying, bro? How are you?
Hey, I'm very well, brother.
Yeah.
Very well. Obviously, this week is a little bit different. We used to, giving it live and direct to the people, but
Mm,
scheduling in and allow it. But we said this season we're gonna try be consistent. We're gonna
yeah,
deliver something at least. So
yeah,
people, you know what I mean?
exactly.
Big result today as well. 5-2 win. We'll get
Mm,
through that and cup exit midweek as well. So
yeah.
there's ups and downs. Transfer window closing. There's a lot to get through. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
let's give the
Yeah.
people what they want.
So for those who are listening as well, so at the time of recording, it's now Saturday evening. So obviously, Fuad is referring to the Burnley game, which we played earlier on today, which we'll talk about. And as he mentioned, we're going to talk through everything that's gone on over the past week or so. But I think before we actually start talking football on the pitch, we need to talk about what's been happening off the pitch, Fuad, because we're smiling, but there's been a lot of mixed emotions over the past couple of days in the land of Spurs, man. The deadline day shenanigans basically hit its peak as per with Spurs bringing in Brennan Johnson. I think that's a 47.5 million pound fee to bring him into the club. So he's now our outright third highest. No, third most expensive player. I have a third or fourth because I can't remember how much this also cost in total. In fact, no, Romero cost 50 million as well. So what am I saying? Ignore me. Brennan Johnson was signed for 47.5 million pounds. Obviously, we thought we were going to sign. We were in for Conor Gallagher, but that move didn't materialize because it was related to Højbjerg leaving, which didn't happen. Like, bro, I just want you to just help me summarize your thoughts on how Spurs navigated their way through not just the deadline day period, but this transfer window as a whole. Because I feel like it followed a similar vein to last year, not in terms of the profile players signed, because I thought last season's window was good. Obviously, I know you disagree, but I meant in terms of starting relatively well in terms of bringing in some good players and
Yeah.
then it just petering out over the final like 3 or 4 weeks of the window.
I'll be honest with you. For me, I've kind of been there hasn't been any point in the window where I've been really excited. I think the one real high point for me was when we signed Maddison for 40 million and kind of
Mm,
how early and quick we managed to get that one done. But in all honesty, I think with all the kind of signings we did, there was a hint of kind of skepticism. There was a hint of could we do more? Are we doing kind of just the bare minimum to get back? I remember when Van der Ven, there was Tap Sober, there was links with so many other centre backs, and you was thinking, like personally, I didn't know too much about Van der Ven at the time, so it was like, and we're paying a lot of money, which is potentially 40 million at the time. I'm like, this is big money. We were going for Raya for the goalkeeper, and then we ended up with Vicario for almost half the price. So it was like,
mm,
again, have we gone the typical Tottenham cheap route again? There's that hint of skepticism. So all throughout it, it's been, and then Vélez comes in as a kid. Phillips comes in as another kid. You know they're not really going to play regular minutes. Solomon then came in as a free, and knowing that he's coming in as a free, I already know, okay, he's going to be a squad player. That's not someone who they're going to throw into the deep end. He's someone who I'm hoping performance-wise, he showed flashes at Fulham. Maybe he can offer us something off the bench, but
mm,
nothing about this window excited me. I remember on DR, I did a roundup on deadline day, and I said for me, it's like a 6 out of 10, I would say. And that's only because now with the first three games, I've seen a bit of Vicario, I've seen a bit of Van der Ven, and that's given me a little bit of confidence to say maybe there is something there we can build upon. But I still feel like we could have done more. Even with the Brennan Johnson deadline day, I thought maybe a Pedro Goncalves, an Amin Guiri, someone who's a little bit more proven, can play multiple roles, can give you that end product. That's kind of the profile I was looking for. The club seems like they wanted someone who's kind of more Premier League ready, someone who's more physical, can play variety of positions like Brennan Johnson. But we spoke on him last week, and I said if he comes in, I think he could be an off the bench player, an impact player. But I don't think he's going to come in and make a huge dent in the quality of our team, if that makes sense, or upgrade the quality in our team, shall I say.
mm.
So for me, at the end of the window, I'm kind of just left thinking, then that's just the incomings. Then you look at the outgoings and the lack of it. I think that kind of maybe would explain as to why we hadn't gone all out in some of the incomings, because you've literally got no incomings from your outgoings. Nobody wants some of these players. And How many times did we sit here last year and through some of the worst performances, we sat there and said, a lot of these players, if they'd left this club, they wouldn't play for a top 6 club. Let alone top 6, they probably wouldn't play for a top 10 club. A Brighton, an Aston Villa, a West Ham is not looking at any of these guys. And now we've just seen in this prime window now, Fulham was interested in Højbjerg. And we can talk about kind of how individuals went down, but that was kind of the level of the clubs that were interested in these guys. And they were still feeling like they were better than that or above that. And some of them were turning the deals down, but it was loan deals and cheapies. And at this point, I just wanted off the books, but we saw no movement. And I look at Chelsea, I look at Arsenal a few years ago, I look at even United, the way they've been able to shift some of their deadwood this summer. I'm like, why are we unable to do this? Why is it every summer, every window, we seem to hold on to? And I remember right at the start of the window, we started off with Harry Winks, 10 million to Leicester. And I honestly thought that was going to be almost like a things to come. Yeah, we're just going to start 6 million, Davinson Sanchez, 4 million, whoever it is. But we're left in closing the window. We still have Eric Dyer. We still have Davinson Sanchez. We still have, Ben Davies, you could say. We still have Ryan Sessegnon. We still have Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Like, there's so many guys who you're just thinking, what is going to happen? And now Brennan Johnson's coming. I'll be honest with you. Everyone's completely forgotten about this guy. But Brian Gill, like, what's going to happen with him now? He's just going to be a seventh choice attacker. It's so that's where I'm kind of just like, I feel like some of the outgoings we've been poorly handled. Brian Gill, I think, is a top talent. A La Liga team, you should have been able to offload that if you weren't going to use him.
Yeah. I think with annoyingly with players like Sessegnon and Brian Hill, they're injured right now, so it ruins the market.
Yeah, how long is Gill out for?
He's been injured for a minute, right? I'm not sure when he's due to be back, but I know that I'm pretty sure him and Sessegnon are injured. So because I think Ryan Sessegnon was linked with a move to Forest, then he had a hamstring injury, and bang, it was done. So
yeah, I thought it was like a groin twinge where it was going to be back in maybe 2 weeks or whatever. Apparently, he's undergone surgery. So
he did. So he went through surgery. But no, I sort of echo a lot of your thoughts, man. I think with me, I felt like we did some good things, right? And I feel like the good things, it's always undone by the bad things that we do, right? So bringing in Maddison for 45 million is fantastic business. Don't care what anyone tells me. I know they got relegated, but fantastic business, because to pick up a player at 26 years old for 45 million of that caliber in this market it's a W. It's a big W, right? You look at Mickey van der Ven, no one really knew much about him, but when he's come into the team and he's slotted in seamlessly and he's looking like a good buy. You look at Vicario, who is looking like he's growing in confidence game by game, and he had another assured performance today. So the new signings that we've brought in, they're looking all right. They're looking all right. And even the players that we signed that have been integrated into the team, like your Basumas, like your Destinies, they're cooking right now. Even Pedro Porro's playing well. So like the signings, they're looking like they could go on to be successes. Obviously, we don't know what happens for the rest of the season, but they're looking, early signs look like they're going to be good signings for Spurs. The problem for me, right, is like you said, we knew at the start of this window, Spurs needed to bring 2 centre-backs. 2. That was non-negotiable for the reasons we saw in the cup game against Fulham, for the reasons we'll probably see as the season goes on, where Romero tends to pick up knocks. This is a guy who's never really played. I don't think he's played over 32 Premier League matches for Spurs. He's always due an injury. Do you get what I'm saying? And when he gets injured, the drop-off from him to a Sanchez is significant. The drop-off from a Basuma to a Skip or Højbjerg is significant. The drop-off from a Maddison to a Lo Celso is significant, right? Even Brennan Johnson, I'm with you. I don't think he's a bad player. We spoke about this last week. He's not a bad player, but you just look at the players out there, homegrown or not, and you just think like there are players out there that you can recognize their talent is quite clearly bigger than Brennan Johnson's right now. But he signed, and we don't know what he's going to look like. You hope and you expect that Ange Postecoglou sticks to his word of his plan for Brennan Johnson and makes it a success. So now that he's here, obviously we all want him to do well. Everyone is rooting for him. Me and you are rooting for him to do well. But it's just like, After selling Harry Kane, we only made one signing. So we sold Harry Kane 3 weeks ago. We only made one signing, right? All the other positions that we spoke about just now in the defense and in the midfield, not sorted. The deadwood, we're knocking back £8 million bids for Davinson Sanchez, which is nuts because now he's here and he's going to stay. He's going to stay for the rest of the season and you're going to lose him for nothing next summer, right? We don't know what's going to happen with Lloris and Dyer. They could well be offered the opportunity to terminate their contracts. We don't know. The window's closed. The window's closed now. And I saw obviously Lloris turning down moves to Nice, to Newcastle.
I can't lie to you. That was the epitome of is baffling to me because I was like, isn't Nice even the club you started your career at? Like, go and give them 1 year at least. I remember you moved on to Lyon straight away. Then you came over to us. You stayed with us for about, 10, 11 years. You're not going to play this year. You've wanted the move away and you've rejected Lazio. And Lazio today are beaten, as far as I was aware, they were beating Napoli. But then you go on and reject your hometown club. I'm like, you haven't got any offers from the Saudi League. MLS hasn't come for you. Brother, what's going to happen? You're just going to rot on the bench. And I just feel like that's such a weird thing for a player who's been such a servant for us, if you like, to just waste away on the bench for a season. It's just weird.
I feel like the club will come to. I personally feel like the club will come to some sort of agreement with Lloris, and he can do whatever he wants, right? Because he'll be able to navigate the market better as a free agent than as a player with a year left on his deal. Ange Postecoglou spoke in his press conference the other day and mentioned that he's spoken to Lloris, and he basically said to Lloris that as it stands, Lloris isn't going to be part of the 25-man squad, and apparently Lloris understood and respected Ange telling him that. So I feel like we need to watch this space with guys like Lloris and Dyer and Ndombele, because Ndombele, he could still, the Turkish, I think Galatasaray interested, he wants to play Champions League football. Their transfer window doesn't close until the 15th, right? So that could still happen. We don't know what the club has planned for the likes of Dyer and Lloris in terms of terminating their contracts. But for me, I know you gave your rating of a 6. I think for me, my verdict of the window, I would give it I'd say like a 5.5 or a 5.5 or 5, right? I think the signings that we've made so far, outside of the young Gs, the really, really young Gs that aren't really going to play this season, like your Phillips or your Velis, they're looking good. And if they continue to impress, then my rating will change. Obviously, I don't know what Brennan Johnson is going to be like because he's not played for Spurs, so I can't really include him in like a high enough rating, because on paper, Brennan Johnson's a player who I think he's not bad, but it's just a player that I feel like Spurs should have signed better than. Like, I didn't want Brennan Johnson. So for me, I feel like when you combine that with the mess that we made with the outgoings, like only getting loans, we still have Dyer, Ndombele, Højbjerg, Lloris, Sanchez, all still at the club. Brian Hill still at the club. Obviously, we spoke about his injury. It's difficult, man. It's difficult in a period where we were meant to offload a lot of players and bring the size of the squad down. We're now in a position where guys are just basically going to be banished for the rest of the season because there's just not enough space. So I think, coupled with selling Harry Kane and not bringing in a player in enough time and the amount of players that we need, I think I'm going to stick with a 5.5, and we'll revisit this. We'll revisit it because I feel like what we're there is we'll revisit this in January, because I feel like by January, and we'll do it at the start of January, not at the end. By January, things could have happened, right? Contracts might have been terminated. Brennan Johnson might have already hit the ground running and scored how many goals and so on and so forth. So it may change. So we'll see, man. We'll see. But yeah, that transfer window wasn't bad. Was not a bad window at all. We signed some good players. We signed some meaty players. We were able to make a lot of money back because of Harry Kane and Winks, but we also failed to sell a lot of players, and we also failed to bring down the wage bill by the amount that we wanted to. So you're saying 6, I'm saying 5.5. We'll move on from there.
For me, I think as well, it's what I hope we haven't blown almost the last bit of that Harry Kane money, if you like, on that Brennan Johnson signing. And I hope there's something left for January, because I still feel like there's additions to this team that's needed. And clearly the funding is not going to come from within this team, if you like. if you want as well, you got to remember, was it Kulusevski and Porro? I think their transfers got confirmed as permanent this summer as well. So I don't know if that's being kind of incorporated into this window.
I don't really count that towards
I count that as the previous window. But those are two signings. I'll be honest. Him, Bentancur as well. I look at and I'm thinking we have had good Januaries over the past couple, 1 or 2. So could it be in the second half of the season, seeing a bit of promise from Ange? She's built a bit of structure, a better culture, and you're seeing patterns of play. Then it's a case of, let's back this guy a little bit more in January. So, because this team's going to need it, trust me. There's going to be the good days that we have, the honeymoon period or whatever, and there's going to be low points as well, as we've seen throughout the week as well. So, trust
100%.
me, long one ahead.
100%. And speaking of low points, we can just quickly touch on Fulham. Obviously, we played Fulham in the League Cup away from home, got knocked out on penalties, lost the game on penalties. Not going to dig out anyone for scoring or missing penalties or not saving penalties. I think we need to speak more about why did the game have to go into penalties? Like this should be a game that we should be taking seriously and trying to win over the course of 90 minutes. And I felt like that was evidence of the gaps that we still have in this squad when certain profile players aren't available, right? For me, and we've spoken on this, my preference this summer was after the signings we made. Once Harry Kane left, for me, my preference was Spurs absolutely need to prioritize bringing in another centre-back on top of Mickey van de Ven and another attacker. Once you get that done, if there's any money left over and you've sold players, you bring in another midfielder as well, right? I felt like this game was perfect example of that because we tried to drop Romero and bring in Davinson Sanchez into the team. And Davinson Sanchez was the one that was getting twist up for the first goal. Culpable, right? We changed the entire midfield. So that was no Maddison or Basuma. And we played Skip, Højbjerg, and Lo Celso. And that midfield performance in the first half was that was I was in Fulham watching that game live, but man, that place was stinking like Beckton, bro. That performance was stinking like Beckton.
You know them Tesco sandwiches, with no sauce, no lettuce,
plain Jane,
two bread and just ham, and it just said ham sandwich. That's what that was. Plain ham midfield. Just nothingness, not a single bone of creativity between those three. And I swear to you, my eyes were bleeding because all that showed us was flashbacks to every moment we've been knocked out in cups, every demoralizing defeat we had last year, where you just see a slow, sluggish midfield, unable to create sideways safe passes, defense getting cooked by basic moves. You're just laughing at it, honestly. And a lot of people were kind of criticizing and saying, oh, 9 changes shouldn't have been made. 9 changes were too much. And listen, I think there was far too many changes. I think you changed 4 or 5. 9, though, that was one where I was like, and you got to take some accountability for this for sure. But then I'm also looking at those players. I always say the players can't get away. They're the ones on the pitch. You are now given an opportunity. We've seen a consistent 11 pretty much for 3 games. You've got a new manager in, an opportunity to impress. Guys like Højbjerg, you might even want to put yourself on the market for this game. It's an opportunity for you. None of them took that opportunity. And that's where I'm like, there's still blood on these guys' hands. They're like, as much as Ange is at fault for selecting them, because we, as the fans, we've seen them. We know what Davinson Sanchez is like. We've seen Enes Mora. We've seen Everton, FA Cup. We've seen so many moments where he's cost us. So we didn't need a penalty to tell us. The moment we all saw him step up, the moment we all saw the lineups, we kind of knew what kind of night it was going to be. We've been here before. But the players at the end of the day, for me, cannot get away with it. Even though Richarlison scored, I thought, all right, cool, well done. He was awful throughout the game, bro. And everyone was like, oh, he finally got his first goal. I'm like, bro, we dropped a stinker. And Solomon, I thought, was maybe the only one that showed glimpses. And that's why I was glad he actually got rewarded with the start against Burnley. Because I'm like, listen, if there's going to be anybody given a chance, I want to see it be Solomon. But the rest of you, hey, the market is open till Friday. And we have business to do. But unfortunately, that business wasn't done either.
Yeah, man. I felt like that game, there wasn't really much positives. I know Richarlison scored, and I was Happy that he scored because maybe it could give him some confidence, right, heading into the next couple of games. But bruv, like I was not happy. The performance was arse. Even Perisic, who got a really good assist, his performance was so poor. Like Lo Celso, I know they said that he went off injured at halftime, but even in the game, he was poor. Højbjerg, I think that it's funny. We can talk about this with a smile, right? It's with a smile and with a little bit of a frown. With a frown because when Bissouma's not in the team, one of Højbjerg or Skip are going to play 6 at the very least until Bentancur comes back, right? Sarr is probably an option there, but right now Sarr's playing number 8, right? So for the time being, it's Højbjerg and potentially Skip that will play that role, and the drop-off is scary. Lo Celso, if Maddison's not there, is the one who plays, and the drop-off is scary. Sanchez is the one who plays when Romero's not there, and the drop-off is scary. Like, we can only thank God now that we actually have better players in these positions. Well, obviously we had Romero, but we can only thank God now that we have better players in these positions that we can use in the Prem. But the worry is when those players are out, injured, or unavailable, it's a problem. I'm looking at our midfield now in January. Sarr and Bissouma, they're going to be off to AFCON. They're going to be off to AFCON potentially if their countries qualify. And you can probably get away with, if it depends on how Bentancur comes back, right?
Yeah.
Because
if
you have Bentancur and Maddison, you can get away with some sort of higgy.
Yeah, for 4 or 5 weeks. We can run. We can run a Højbjerg. Let's go. One more run.
Exactly. But if you're telling me that Bissouma and Sarr are not here, Bentancur's not up to scratch, and we have to play Skip and Højbjerg with Maddison, oh Lord, long day. And that was just a flashback of the midfield pairing that we had to play for like 3 months straight last season. Skip and Højbjerg. That was the midfield. It was such a dry, plain Jane midfield. Wow.
The third one, you know that. It was the third one. That was a crazy thing.
It's crazy, bro. It's crazy. Them two just can't play together, but it wasn't just them. I thought, as I said, Perisic was poor. Richarlison, I know he took his goal well, but he was rubbish in the game. Solomon was quiet in the first half, but came to life a little bit in the second half when he moved to the left. I can't really say much on the fullbacks. I thought Fraser, funny thing, Fraser Forster was getting a lot of abuse for the pens. And listen, his pen performance was atrocious, right? He didn't save anything. But at the end of the day, I can't really judge a goalkeeper for not saving pens. And in normal time, he made big saves. He actually made some big saves. He's old.
I'll be honest with you, of all the backup keepers we've had over the year, he's the one I've actually not had a problem with. If that makes sense. It's not been too bad, if that makes sense. I remember the days of Galina, bro, Joe Hart. Bro, I've seen some howlers over the year.
Gazaniga was okay. He was
nah, pretty boy. They used to
Michel Vorm was
green eyes. Gazaniga used to get away with crimes, bro. But Michel Vorm was another one.
Awful.
Michel Vorm, it was like the longer he sat on our bench, the worse the goalkeeper he got. Because when he was at Swansea, he was actually a top quality goalkeeper, bro.
Came to Spurs and just lost all these powers. But listen, anyway, you live and you learn, man. Obviously, Ange said, how will he know that the players aren't good enough if he doesn't play them? I mean, he should really know. Like, he's got Mason there. He watches them week in, week out. He should know. But you live and you learn, man. I think you were disappointed.
He's almost using it as an opportunity to say, like, I'm going to give you enough rope to hang yourself with, and then now I'm not going to... certain men are getting shut down. Like, personally, I hope certain man we don't see, because we're in only in one competition now, FA Cup, that's it. And that's second half of the season. So now it's going to be one game a week. You can play the same 11 week in, week out. There's certain man I don't even want to see coming off the bench.
Yeah, I agree. I fully agree. We just got to touch wood, and I'm not pausing. Touch wood. We don't get any injuries as well in the international break, right? So yes, disappointing. Obviously, that was a cup that at the very least we'd want to see Spurs go as far as possible in, right? But it's a bitter pill to swallow. However, it's not the end of the world. We still have a long season to play for. We still have the FA Cup to try and make as deep a cup run as possible in. And we can move on to the positive, man. So obviously we have to talk about our Premier League campaign, right? We have now played 4 games in the Premier League. We're still unbeaten. We've played 3 away games, away to 3 low to mid-level Premier League sides, Brentford being the toughest away day, but we also had Bournemouth and we've also had Burnley. It seems we're playing all the bees. I wouldn't be surprised if we're playing Brighton away next, but we're not actually playing Brighton away next. But yeah, played 4 games, including Man United at home as well. We have scored 11 goals across the 4 games. We've conceded 4 goals across the 4 games. We've kept 2 clean sheets, and the most recent result was obviously an emphatic 5-2 win away to Burnley. I mean, I did a preview with the touchline guys. So I did a preview of Yao, Owen, and a lovely woman called Natalie Brumley. She's a Burnley fan from this podcast called No Nay Never. Right, they got their own YouTube channel, and she was basically saying how like the way Burnley are going to play, they're going to play out from the back. They're going to play. They're going to play out from the back, and they're going to try and want to go toe to toe with Spurs. Like she said, don't expect the Burnley of old that just want to sit back, be compact. We're going to try and go for the game. And I said, boy, that's music to my ears, because if you try and go machine for machine with us, let's just be real. We've got the better personnel that can operate where there's lots and lots of gaps that open up all over the pitch. But heading into the game, right, I'm gonna skip past the lineup, because I think at this point we know what the teams are like. We don't need to basically delve into the lineups. We know what the lineups should be, right? Yeah. Let's talk about the first half, because I actually felt Burnley started off quite well. Obviously, they got their goal early on, and it was actually a really good bit of play from them. They played out really well. Yeah, talk to me. How were you feeling when they went 1-0 up in like 4 minutes into the game?
I felt like it was a little bit of a throwback to last season, where you're kind of thinking the first half stinkers, the first 5-10 minutes where we just start off slow off the blocks and teams just catch us cold. And I thought, yeah, it was going to be a long day, because I remember thinking Burnley still hadn't won up to date so far. They just had their Luton game cancelled the other day, which they might have felt like were the first 3 points they could have grabbed. They're going to be coming in here hungry. And I was like, Turf Moor is Turf Moor at the end of the day, even though if they're coming to play different style of football. But that was the thing that you hit there. If they're going to come here basically trying to play on the front foot, they better be doing it very well. And I said, if Vincent Kompany comes to the Premier League thinking he can play that same champagne football he's playing in Championship, said he better have a plan B as well, because there's going to come times when things get sticky. And bro, I was on DR as the game was going live. I said, boy, it's a flashback to last season, but calm. If there's one thing I've seen, it's a reaction from our team. I said, if there's been character in those moments as well. I said, I remember the United game, first half, we were getting absolutely schooled in our home ground. But the second half, the way we raised our game, I said, it doesn't matter. Within moments, you just saw the momentum was starting to change again. And we started to take control the whole of the first half, in my opinion. The first goal, I thought, first goal was Sonny's one, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I was gonna touch on the goals first. I wanted to talk more on the Burnley goal, because I felt like even though it was early on, I felt like
Porro, that was the negative of Porro, what we saw there. That almost getting burnt there on the outside very easily there. You're just kind of the fearful of his defensiveness. Those are the kind of areas.
But you know what though, like fair enough. Like he could have done better there, but I don't really put that all on Porro, because I feel like with the position he plays, where he's tucked in playing this inverted role, there's going to be space for runners on either side for the fullbacks, right? Obviously, you would expect that you stand up to the challenge stronger, like Destiny stands up to the challenge stronger, because it looks like Destiny is just a better defender than Porro. But for me, what was a bit worrying, and it's not like a long-term worry, it was just the in-game worry at the time, was that our press was quite flimsy. It felt like there was a lot of space in the central areas, and Burnley were able to play for our press relatively well in that, I would say, in the first 15, 16 minutes of the game. And I felt like Ange Postecoglou noticed that as well, because I think we had like a drinks break, someone got injured, and he basically told them like, yo, be more aggressive. And I remember it resulted in Papi Matasar one time picking up a yellow, because he was charging in like a bull in a china shop to try and get the ball back. So I felt like it was a bit too easy for Burnley to play through our press in the first half. And credit to them, they played some good stuff. I'm not going to lie, they played some good stuff. And that left winger, there's Koleosho. I think that's his name, Koleosho. He's good. He looked good. I can't lie. He looked very tricky. Looked like he had strength, and he was able to beat players. So yeah, Porro could have done better there, but I'm not really going to be like put that goal on Porro. I think as a
You know
team,
what it was, bro? It's the fact that Coliocho, for me, there was so much space in behind. He pointed to the space, out-strengthened him, beat him to it, and then got the cross in. And I was like, Porro, you just those are the areas where, and we've said it so many times, where we're going to play a very high line. There's going to be moments where our fullbacks get caught out, and you hope either the centre-backs can get across and cover or the fullbacks can get back and cover. But that was one of those moments where you're like, good wingers will take advantage of that. And that was just a glimpse of that. So when I saw that, honestly, I thought it's almost like a side effect of the way we play, if you like. But I weren't too worried, honestly. I said the game is long, and the fact that we've got the first teamers out there, I said this game is almost like the perfect time it's come as a reaction to see how the squad reacts, to the midweek dumping in the Carabao Cup. Because now you get to see what they're really made of. Now you're 1-0 down in a game where you could be going back-to-back defeats now. Okay, how do you react? And you saw the reaction straight away. And I thought even going into the end of the first half, I thought we deserved to go in 2-1. So when Romero scored that screamer, brother, I wanted to rip my shirt off. Listen, you know what that means to me. That shit means something to me, brother. Like, as soon as that lineup, the way it bounced around, I said, Lord have mercy. Romero's going to hit this crisp. And that's 2 and 3 now for him as well. So I'm happy. I feel like he started this season real strong, in my opinion. Defensively, on the ball, I feel like he's led by example in games as well. And today was another one of those. And I thought that goal just perfectly capped off the way we reacted in the second half. But then it was a quality goal as well.
Yeah, man. I think with both of them, man, like just the reaction as well. Like Porro, obviously, I think you're right. He has his negatives defensively, but on the ball, he simply opens up a game of football for Spurs way better than someone like Emerson can. And you saw that for the first goal. It was his pass that found Son's run in behind. Son, who then gives it to Solomon. Solomon plays a nice pass inside to Son, and Son, delightful finish. And I think that is essentially what we want the forward to do in this Ange Postecoglou system. Let the wide players jug, like let them go at their man, beat their players, etc. Try and find the attacker, try and fashion those shots at goal. But the striker, whilst you don't have to dribble, you better be ready to put away the chances when you get it. And I feel like that is literally Son to a T now. He wasn't really involved in the game, if you recall. He wasn't really involved in the game. I don't know how many touches he had, but he didn't really have that many touches in the first half, nor the second half.
Bro, guess what, though? When you're playing in the 9 and you have, I feel like, a team cater to you, bro, that's all I want you to do. Just sit in the box and be a poacher. I want you to just get on the end of things that guys create for you. We have fullbacks that will get up and down for you. We have Maddison that will make it tick for you. We have and Saar that will do the dirty work there. We don't need you dropping deep like Harry Kane used to. That's why I've been crying for Son to go into the middle. And today, when I saw Ange line up with that was the one thing in terms of lineup-wise where I saw it and I was like, thank you. You finally got it. Because in the second half of some of the other games as well, he did do it. I will give him credit. He was like, you know what? Take Richarlison off, let me come through the middle. And you saw that, was it the one where Destiny assisted Kulusevski last game? From linking up in the middle there. And I was like, that's a prime example of what you can do. And if Son can bring out that link-up play again, I will love it. And I think I deserve it. And today we almost saw like prime poaching from him. Prime, watch me running through the final man. That's just from Porro, was it, for the last one?
So we'll get onto this. Is what I'm saying. We'll get onto the second half. Right? So I think with someone like Son, right? Like we've spoken of his strengths and his weaknesses, and his strengths were greatly like shown and displayed today. Like that's his bread and butter. You give him the ball in those positions, and he's finding the back of the net. That's one thing that he's not forgotten how to do, right? And like you said, the forward in this system, they need to be able to press, to lead the press, and to take up intelligent spots in the team. So when you have the chances, you take them, right? Like you said, they don't really need to get involved in the link play, etc., etc. And I mean, the second goal that we scored as well, fantastic strike from Romero, man. Like he's quietly going about his business this season, and he's going about his business well. I think him and Van der Ven, they're striking up a good partnership together. And you just, again, you see the levels when he's not there and it goes to Sanchez, it's scary. But I must say, fantastic strike. And I know I said that we should skip past the lineup, but I feel like it's worth mentioning. It was an unchanged team from Bournemouth, with the exception of one position or two positions, which was Richarlison. Richarlison was dropped, and I think that's definitely one thing to note, because obviously that relates to your point around maximizing the best of Son's capabilities currently by putting him through the middle. Because when you put him through the middle, you ask him to do two things: work hard, press your man, and take up intelligent positions with your off the ball runs. If you do that, you're gonna score. Because let's be real, if Richarlison gets those chances that Son got today, he's not getting a hat trick, and he's probably not even getting one.
Getting them, bro. He's been getting them.
This is what I'm saying. So exactly. So Son puts those chances. I mean, the first chance, the first goal. I know. Sorry to go back to it, but the first finish, honestly, like that is what you call someone who just knows. Do you get what I'm saying? Just dinks the keeper effortlessly. And Romero for the second goal, again, good endeavors from Maddison as well on the edge of the box as well to get that ball back into a dangerous spot, and Romero follows it up. But I want to talk on Maddison as well for the third, because this guy is just, when we spoke about the signing, like, we both acknowledged that this guy, he's a baller, quality player, and that is what he's bringing to Spurs, pure quality. I mean, the third goal for me, and I want to get your view here. I know we spoke on it briefly, but I feel like the third goal for me further emphasizes everything that we're trying to do with Ange Postecoglou, which is you get the fullbacks involved in the game, squeeze the team high up the pitch. It was Destiny who pressed their wing back into turning over possession. He turns over possession. He gets the ball off him. He plays it infield to Maddison, and bruv, James Maddison outside the box, automatic. And even beyond the goal, he was just oozing quality in this game. In the first phase, in the second phase, in the third phase, oozing quality, bro.
Times, I don't know if you saw where he was dropping as almost like the six to pick up the ball, bringing it out wide, and I was like, you're really feeling yourself at this point. You know, like when you're running the game, and you're like, I can go any part of the pitch, and I'm dictating tempo no matter what. And this is what we have been crying for, Tobi, for not 1 year, not 2 years, for 4 years. We have been crying for a natural creator in that midfield, someone who can actually link the midfield to the attack, someone who doesn't need Kane to drop 30, 40 yards deep and get 10, 15 assists a season. Now we have that in Maddison. We actually have a number 10 who is a willing runner, great on the ball, an eye for a pass, an end product with it as well, set pieces to go with it as well. Like, everything you require from that position, he's got it. And then now I feel like I love that he's come in and kind of rubbed a positive energy on a lot of the players. I feel like he's taking a big, almost character role in the dressing room. And I'm like, I love this, because maybe at Leicester you were kind of vice captain as well, but to come in here straight away, you're one of the vice captains taking on a big leadership role. This is now the responsibility I want to see, because he's not like a young spring chicken as well. He's now entering the prime of his career. So I'm hoping that, listen, the next couple of years, we see a player who is playing at his peak, looking like he can drag this team single-handedly almost at times, creative-wise, to a different stratosphere. It's like, okay, it's not working out wide today, bring it through me. Okay, the link-up play up front is not working, run it through me. That's the kind of player I'm looking at Maddison like. And honestly, these first couple of games, that's what he's been oozing.
Yeah, man. And I think with Maddison, like, for me, like, of course, he has like his games where he's off the boil. Like, there are times where he does have a cold streak, where there are some games where he's on the periphery, and then of course he's injury problems. But like, every player has their flaws, right? He's not a world-class player. He's not an elite player yet. Do you get what I'm saying? So like, he is going to have his moments. But the one thing that we know damn sure is that this guy is a quality player. And he has been a quality player, as far as I'm concerned, in the Premier League for the last couple of years. And I think with someone like James Maddison, he's this, like we spoke on it in the last episode, he's dispelling a lot of myths. Oh, he can't contribute to the first phase. Oh, he's a liability defensively. This, that, and the third. He's dispelling a lot of narratives that people put on his name. And all he's doing, in my opinion, is basically what he did for Leicester, but he's just wearing a Spurs shirt. Genuinely. because we've been championing this guy for years, right? And whilst his role for Spurs is a lot more important, because I feel like he's getting involved across all phases. The caliber of performances, we've seen this at Leicester. He's doing it. For me, he's like some Spurs fans are debating, why is Maddison better at Spurs than he is at Leicester? I don't think he is. I think he's just playing in a different shirt. He's just playing in a different shirt, and he's now playing in a team that have a specific role set for him, right? This role, like you said, we've been crying out for someone for years to fill this Ericsson void, and he's filling it, and he's filling it with aplomb.
No, I fully agree.
It's beautiful, man. It's beautiful, honestly. And I guess we can talk on the
45 million, brother.
Snip. For me, he's looking like he could be the sun in the summer.
That's what, I was saying that literally this week on DR. They said, who do you think is the signing of the season? And I said, if we're talking like pound for pound, what they bring to the team, you're looking at the likes of him, Ward-Prowse. I was like, these guys are ones that really are going to make things tick for their team, if that makes sense. So, definitely, in my opinion.
Yeah,
we'll see at the end of the season, but incredible start. I just hope now, going into the international break, it's just kind of like,
stay fit.
Bro, because Maddison can easily pick up knocks. And I remember like the second half of last season, people were questioning his mentality as well and saying, over the full season, can he maintain his consistency? So I'm like, listen, this is now where I'm saying, like, age-wise, you're coming into that era now where you're almost the man of the club. If you like, you've taken the number 10 shirt, you're one of the vice captains. I want this season for him to almost lead by example. This new era, come and be the face of it, bro. I'm happy for you to do that.
Yep. And I think you made a really good point there around him entering like prime years of his career. Like, you're no longer a boy, like you're firmly a man. And not only you're a man with big responsibility on this team, right? I doubt he was vice captain at Spurs, at Leicester, but I think he's vice captain at Tottenham. Like, you are a leadership figure in this team, right? You got to lead by example. And those periods that you mentioned where like he does go cold, challenge yourself to maintain it throughout the season, not just the numbers, because we know he's going to maintain the numbers and the flashes of quality throughout the season. But when we talk about maintaining, we're talking about maintaining your performance. Don't go below a standard. You set the standard, you be the standard. And I think like you said, he's doing that. He's doing that at Spurs right now, man. So honestly, it's a joy to have him in a world where we've got inflated fees, bro. Mitrovic cost more. Mitrovic, 28 years old, cost more to Al Hilal than Maddison did for Spurs. And Maddison is homegrown, 2 years younger, and number 10, right? Declan Rice is 24 years old, cost 105 million pounds, right? Conor Gallagher would have cost more money than James Maddison had he had left. Anthony Gordon cost more than James Maddison. Mason Mount cost more than James Maddison. Morgan Gibbs-White cost more than James Maddison. There's so many players, so many English players that cost more than this guy that he's better than. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's why it's like, when you look at how much was paid for the talented player that we've received, we have lucked out here massively. We really have. And that's looking like a fantastic bit of business. And for me, the instant impact, I always expected it and I never doubted it, right? Let's move on to the fourth and fifth goals, right? The fourth goal, again, I felt like it was nice play on the left-hand side. I think we did a lot of good things on that left-hand side today. Nice play from Destiny and Solomon again. Solomon got 2 assists today. He passed the through to Son. Again, Son, like, he was involved but wasn't everywhere. Like, we need him when we need you in the box. He finished his first time. Fantastic finish. I want you to talk a bit about, because I know you've spoken on Son and finish, but I want you to talk a little bit about Solomon, because I feel like he had a mixed game today where, like, he did some good things, but a lot of the first half, his final ball was really poor. Yet the one time he got it bang on the money, he scored. And then he did it again in the second half. Like, what were your thoughts on Solomon today? And like, are you happy with the type of contribution that he can bring? Like today, with 2 assists, if he's coming into the team here and there.
Yeah, for me, it kind of reminded me of Kulusevski's performance last week, where he got the goal, but not everything was kind of fully coming off for him. But I think I've seen enough of him kind of technically on the ball, in my opinion, to definitely give me something on that side. The link ups with Destiny, linking up with Son at times as well. Even though sometimes I find it you can see the idea is there. For me, I felt like when you've got Son and Richarlison there isn't that link there for me. Like they're not on really the same wavelength. So for me, I'm happy to try them out. For me, we've got him as a free transfer. He's a low risk move. There's nothing to lose there. So give him the option. And last season, I feel like he was really good for Fulham. I'll be honest with you. Second half of the season, I feel like it was one of the reasons why they kind of kicked on to those kind of higher positions, even though they fell off once the Mitrovic ban kicked in. But I'm happy to see him kind of get starts. And if games like today where we win, he contributes. Listen, you're not going to play 10 out of 10 every time, but as long as you're putting something on the team sheet, and sometimes if you're not going to get me the goal or the assist, just give me a solid performance. Do you know what I mean? So for me, he seems like someone who I feel like can contribute throughout the season for sure.
Yeah, and I think he already has, man. I think he already has like 2 assists today. Like you said, I don't imagine that he's going to be playing week in, week out. I feel like obviously if Brennan Johnson had been registered in time, I can imagine him starting today on the left-hand side. And I feel like now Ange's got a decision against Sheffield United. Son has scored a hat-trick. I don't see him moving Son out. Richarlison, if you're going to start, you have to work. You have to work. When you come on the pitch in the subs game, you have to score. You have to work to get yourself back into the team now. And I feel like he's going to trial maybe like a Brennan Johnson left wing, or he might even trial him right wing for Kulusevski. I don't know.
But brother, Fulham, man, I don't like what I'm seeing, bro.
Bro, I thought he was good today. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought he was good today.
I want more, bro, man. I'll be real with you. You see
so do I, but
I'll be real with you. You see what we're talking about with Maddison.
Yeah,
that's what I want to be saying about Kulusevski, bro. And that was kind of the expectations I had for him. And yeah, you're right, he was good, but I still hasn't feel like he's woken up. I don't know whether he's still carrying the knock from last year.
Nah, man, you can't be talking about that knock.
Bro, this is what I'm saying. It just doesn't feel right with Kulusevski at the moment. It seems like the potency that he had last year. Last year when he got the ball, there was a sense of, is he going right? Is he going left? Is he going to cross it? Is he going to shoot? Yeah. Whatever he does, though, it's going to come off. So this season, I'm just like, all right, I know you're trying to go for the cut inside and shot. Okay, it's been blocked.
But you know what?
He would go on the outside. He would get a low cross in, and I'm like, yes, give me that. Like, give me more of the unpredictability. I feel like he's just a little bit too predictable, and it's almost like it's stale now. I want him to get that rawness that he had about him when he first came.
I think it will come with confidence in time, man, because I feel like he's shown the capacity to do it, and I felt like I know what you mean. Like
I'm the biggest Kulu stan as well.
No, that's what I'm saying, and that's what I'm saying. I know what you mean because like being at the games, when he was there in the first couple of months, when he got the ball, everyone you get up off the edge of your seat because you're like, what's he gonna do? He's gonna skin someone. So obviously now, like it's knowing, like you said, it's not as potent, but like I know you obviously said he had a good game today, and I felt like today was a different performance. I felt like he beat his man when he had the opportunity to beat his man. I remember in the first half, we won the ball back in our own half. The ball was played to Kulusevski, right, and he put in a really nice pass into Son's feet, right onto Son's feet, and that should have been a 1v1 for Son. And Son's touch was so heavy, and basically his first touch basically kicked it to the goalkeeper. That should have been an assist for Kulusevski. I thought today was like a much more rounded performance in absence of goals and assists. Like if you can get, if this can be, I wanted to, today should be his base level. Right? Do you get what I'm saying? You hit the nail on the head. Today should be his baseline. Like you can't dip below this level of performance. This should be your base, and it should be the springboard for us to get better performances, more goals, more assists, etc., etc. But let's finish off on the fifth goal. The fifth goal for me, really good team goal, man, from back to front as well. And you saw everything. You saw Maddison again dropping into the first phase, dropping a shoulder, playing a nice pass into Pedro Porro, who's in the second phase. And then Pedro Porro, this is what we talk about, man. This is why you can see Pedro Porro get skinned, get spun, etc., and you're still going to ask him to be the starting right back. Why? Because for a team that wants to play with the ball at their feet, he simply will put the ball under money more often than not when he gets it. And that pass today, listen, if Eriksen played that pass, if Odegaard, if Kevin De Bruyne, if Maddison, if the best playmakers in the league play that pass, they're getting loads. They're getting loaded.
That was actually Kevin De Bruyne style pass. I can't lie to you. Yeah,
It was brilliant,
like,
bro.
on the run, beautiful curve on it, right into Son's path, and it was just like all he had to do was just take one touch, left foot. Here's your hat trick, easy as you like. And as you said, bro, from the first phase, like Maddison picks it up and spreads it out wide as well. I'm just like, bro, you don't even need to be there. But the confidence is flowing at such a point where it's like you can just dictate it from there. Porro, as you said, you can overlook a lot of the defensive things. And you hope, honestly, defensively, as I said, it's not always just him that's kind of getting cooked defensively. Bro, it's a system as well. It's like a side effect of the system where you're having to push higher up. It's like when Romero scored the screamer for the second one, initially, I actually thought it was Porro. Because that has almost become like trademark Porro, where he just kind of hovers at the edge of the box and just waits for loose balls to just hammer into the back of the net. But he's rattled a crossbar a few times with them. So I was almost like, oh, shit, I'm not surprised. But when that ball was played, I said, this is what I knew we were doing. Hams always used to say last season, I know he doesn't brag about it so much anymore, but attacking fullbacks. This guy is the definition of that. Last season, we saw him playing right wing at certain points, but when he gets forward, he is a contributor, whether it's a pass, a through ball, a cross, whatever final ball he needs to deliver, he will always deliver in my eyes. And that's why I've honestly want to see him play as many games as possible. I respect Emerson's goal at the start of the season. He works hard defensively. He's improved from what he was or whatever. But this is the right back. This is our starter. This is the one we spent 40+ million on or whatever. This is the one we should try and develop and mold into a top tier right back.
Yeah, and I think you made a point there and about the defending, and it's not even like when I say we, me and you, like nobody's forgetting that Pedro Porro is poor in defensive phases, but it's more a case of like what he brings on the ball for me is greater than what he takes away off the ball. Off the ball, it needs work. Nobody's excusing it. It needs a lot of work. But I feel like the last 3 games, we've seen a much more rounded Pedro Porro performance. Someone who's able to do more in the defensive phases and someone who's still able to contribute in the offensive phases. And I mean, Son, good finish, left foot, right foot, you know it. This guy's going to score. Hat trick again. Like this guy, Son is so streaky. It's mad. He will go like 2 or 3 games without scoring and then bang, just gets a hat trick out of nowhere. It's crazy. I think he's got last year. He might have more hat tricks than Harry Kane. You know, genuinely.
Well, they did say he's officially surpassed Cristiano Ronaldo in the Premier League goal scoring ranking, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure, but I know he's got over 100. I think he's closing in on 110 Premier League goals. So,
Hyungmin 9. You remember who believed in it first? Yeah, you heard it here first. THFC Show, brother. We were preaching it in the summer. I said to you, listen, look at the strikers market out there. Ain't no solutions we can afford. We have one in-house. And I hope now, as you said, streaky, just give me a little streak, bro. Give me a little 5, 6, 7 game streak. You know who we got in 2 games.
Yeah. My target for Son and Richarlison this season are both 15 Premier League goals. For me, like minimum, that should be
you need to lopside that a little bit, I would say.
No. I'm not lopsiding it, right? I'm saying that should be the expectation. So that should be the expectation. Sorry, if you're going to be in this team with no Harry Kane, you're getting the minutes that you're getting. I'm not talking about Sonny. I'm talking about Richarlison.
Brennan, what's the expectation for Brennan?
I think he's going to score goals for Ange Postecoglou. You know, I feel like Ange definitely has a plan for him, right? I just, you know what it is with Brennan? He just, whenever I've watched him, he just doesn't move me. He's not a baller. Yeah, but like he can finish. He can actually finish on his right foot, and he's got the pace. So I feel like he can get goals in this side. So I'm going to challenge Brennan Johnson to try and get double figures for Spurs. He hit eight in a very defensive, transition-focused team like Nottingham Forest were last season. Well, not very defensive, but very transition-focused, right? Try and hit double figures, because I feel like when we bought him for this fee, you would think that he's going to get like sufficient game time to try and hit these numbers. And the style we play now, you see we're creating a lot of chances in these games. Everyone can eat. Richarlison really and truly should already have 2 goals by now, 2 or 3 goals, even despite not starting today, and he hasn't, right? So I feel like there'll be goals for Brennan. For me, try and target double figures. Like we need our attackers to be scoring. If we can get double figures from him, close to double figures from Kulusevski, 15 from Son, And then Richarlison, I don't know how many goals he's going to score, but 15 should be the target. Mate, we're eating there. Fullbacks contributing, midfield, Maddison contributing as well. Maddison 2 goals for the season.
That's where we're gonna get additions. I think this year is you're gonna get contributions from Maddison. And I'll be honest with you, bro. I need my centre backs to chip in 3 or 4 each as well. Like, I'm not for this. My centre backs get me no goals throughout the season, like Eric Dyer and Sanchez used to. Nah, bro. I miss the days where Vertonghen and Alderweireld would get their 4-5 throughout the season, would get their 2-3 headers, little screamers from the edge of the box, whatever it was. But I need contributors from the rest of the team. Because we haven't got Kane, it needs to be spread out throughout the team. So I was going to say to you, what do you give for the, well, what did we call it last week? The Postecoglou?
That's what I was going to get to you. So andrometer, that's what we called it, andrometer. So I'm giving it a I'm giving it a 9 out of 10 because it was not. Richarlison scored midweek, so I thought, he's gonna play Richarlison today. He's got the hot hand. Let him try and get some form. But no, he made the necessary changes. Son through the middle, Solomon out on the left. Right, the team were 5-1 up at one point. Obviously, we conceded late on to make it 5-2, and it's he's unbeaten away from home now, and it's 3 straight wins for Ange Postecoglou. So I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. What about you?
Yeah, I'd give it a 8.5. 8.5. I wouldn't give it a 9. I feel like 9 was last week. Did I give it a 9 last week? Yeah, I gave it a 9 last week. I feel like this.
No, I think you gave it 8 last week.
I didn't like the 2 goals we conceded. I'll be honest with you. Even the one at the end, it was just one of those typical of
sloppy.
Yeah, we got the game won, and it was just kind of sloppy. Even though it was a good little 1-2 that they played, you got to listen. Sometimes you concede good goals, but I just thought it was a little bit sloppy from our end. And then the first one as well, to concede it kind of that early, getting caught sleeping in the channel like that. Nah. So small little things we can kind of improve on. And as you said, I think there was still individual performances. Like the fullbacks weren't. I didn't think like Porro on that side. I didn't think we saw much of Destiny this game.
Destiny was good. You didn't think it was
good, but I didn't think it was the same as maybe the first 2 or 3 games. Sarr and Basuma had good games, but I didn't think it was the same.
I thought they were coasting in and out of the game.
Yeah, today. Like that. That's why it almost felt like that. There was a few players just coasting by almost today, and some others kind of really carried it. And I was like, listen, we get those days, but we're thankful for the result.
Spurs 5-2.
Yeah, 5-2.
Yeah, Spurs 5-2. That is 10 points out of a possible 12. I mean, if anyone gave you this a couple of weeks back, you'd bite their hand off. So he'd bite their hand off. But listen, we're gonna wrap things up now. But for those who have been watching, thanks for tuning in. Please make sure you smash the like button. Please make sure you follow and subscribe to mine and Fuad's socials, including YouTube channels. Fuad's YouTube channel is tagged in the title description. You know where the subscribe button is on this upload. Our socials are definitely here in this lovely background. You see this background that we're bringing for you guys. You see the switch up. Reward us. Give us a couple follows if you don't follow us already. Reward us. Do you get what I'm saying? We're giving this to you for free. Reward us. Yeah.
Even just for the consistency, man.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, normally we would have just said, scrap the show this week. We'll come back in 2 weeks, and then that would be like 3 weeks basically of nothing. But hopefully, you know what I mean, we can kind of stay consistent a little bit more this season. But you know what I mean, support the cause. We're trying to do this thing, so you know what I mean, support the boys.
100. Anyway, people, thanks for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your evenings whenever you're watching this, or days whenever you're watching this. And until then, take care and peace.